The new Livonia DLC for DayZ has been quite the controversial subject within the DayZ community. One thing people pointed out immediately is that the map has been copied from the recent Arma 3 Contact DLC. After the announcement, social media blew up with comments about how Bohemia is trying to squeeze every bit of cash from their communities by releasing the same map on 2 different games. I'll be honest, I had my doubts as well if the new map will actually be able to deliver a new playing experience for the game. With most assets in Livonia also present in Chernarus, is it actually going to bring anything new to the table? Well, Bohemia invited me to come check out the map for myself at their booth at EGX in London last weekend, and it turns out that there's a lot more to this map than a lot of people think. I will go through all the details in this video, but first I think it's important to mention that my flight and stay were paid for by Bohemia. This, however, is my personal opinion about Livonia and if it's worth for you to actually play and buy it for yourself. Let's start with some of the details of how Livonia is different from Chernarus. The size of Livonia is 12.5 by 12.5 kilometers. With 0 taken up by the sea, this roughly translates to about the same playing area as Chernarus. On Livonia, you will spawn in the north, with Tier 1 loot being found there. Tier 2 available in the center of the map, and Tier 3 in the south. This is not the only progression you will notice when you travel south though. Up north, buildings are the same as Chernarus, but the more south you go, the houses actually become overgrown with plants and show more decay. What I like about this is that it's actually quite different from Chernarus, where all the buildings look the same wherever you go. Now where it becomes really interesting is when you go even more south. As you can see, the entire south area in the map is all forest. I mean, we have forest areas in Chernarus, but when you think about it, these are actually just small patches and are easily navigated through. Navigation in these woods in Livonia will be tough. Really tough. Livonia as a map will be focusing a lot more on survival. How did they do that? Well, for one, rain will be a bigger factor. On top of it actually raining quite a bit more, shelter is going to be less available, especially in the southern forest area. Second, the entire southern third of the map will not be spawning any food. Seriously, if you go in there unprepared, you're going to have a problem with your food supply. In these woods, you're going to have to rely on hunting for animals if you need food. And while we're talking animals, of course we gotta talk about one of the biggest features on this map, the bear. Now, I didn't actually see one for myself during my recording session, but I did talk to Adam Franku, creator of this map, about them, and he told me they are no joke. Now, they won't be able to sniff you out as easily as wolves, but when the bear spots you, you're going to have a bad time. According to Adam, shooting certain areas like the neck will be most effective to bring them down, but even if you're accurate, it will take 10 Mosin rounds, or roughly about 20 rounds of the AK, to bring one down. That's so much more powerful than wolves. You might, however, get lucky. Provided you haven't aggravated the bear by attacking it, it might decide to do a feint attack. The bear will still charge you and take you down, but while you lie on the floor unconscious, the bear has a chance of leaving you alone, and at that point, simply walking away. It might actually be in your better interest to just let a bear attack happen if you don't have the gear to fight one off. Bears will be spawning in the southern forest area, but more specifically, in between military bases and compounds to force players to go around on a different route. You can really tell the devs really want the bear to play quite a big role on this new map, and I can actually see it will be. By this point, you probably have noticed the cars looking quite different in Livonia. In fact, these are wrecks of existing drivable cars that are currently in the game. The reason for this is that Bohemia realized that having to scavenge industrial loot spawns for that one type of wheel that only fits on your car is just taking up too many loot spawns, and it can actually be a quite frustrating process. So the way they combated this, in Livonia, car parts will actually be spawning on the wrecks themselves. Now, this isn't actually new. This was part of the game briefly before switching to the new engine. And to be honest, I'm glad to see it come back. And I'm also curious to get a car with 4 different colored doors. Okay, let's circle back to the original question. Is the Livonia DLC worth buying? One thing I think will help is that Bohemia will offer a discount for anyone who already owns the Arma 3 Contact DLC. They haven't announced this for some reason, so there's a scoop for you. They wouldn't tell me what the exact price is going to be though. But on itself, I think Livonia can actually bring a new DayZ experience to the table. There's clearly a bigger focus on survival compared to Chernarus. Sure, some areas will feel very similar, but I think the combination of a much bigger amount of weathered buildings than we thought, and now a huge forest in the south, I think it will actually be different enough from Chernarus to justify buying it. Especially considering, for me personally, I only paid 21 euros for the original copy of the game at launch. Let me know what you guys think of the Livonia DLC. Thank you for watching, and have a great weekend. Oh, and the new guns in 1.06 are the Blaze, double-barreled shotgun, 1911 Saiga. Okay, bye!